Nashville, Tennessee, it's theTHREE with the Studio C Band. And here's your host, Laura Harris-Smith.
Hi everybody, I'm Laura Harris-Smith and welcome to theTHREE. Yeah, this is the only television show that looks at how the crazy events shaping our world are actually shaping you, body, mind, and spirit. Well, today we're discussing a controversial topic that many don't care to. Some argue it's been legalized in all 50 states, while others say, yeah, but it's bad for your kids. What are we talking about? Homeschooling. Yeah. Thanks, yeah. As a homeschooling mom of 6 children, I can tell you that I used to be amazed at how people viewed homeschooling when we began 24 years ago. I hope that I played my small part in changing the biased, country bumpkin reputation that homeschooling had. And I can proudly say that I raised 6 successful, smart millennials, many of whom are here. Well, a Canadian study has shown that homeschooled kids are, on the whole, smarter than kids who attended public schools. Don't be offended at this. This is just a study, okay? Are these findings surprising? I mean, they were to me, but listen to this. It depends on who you've asked. But they do support the decision that many are making to homeschool their kids. These statistics support that. The Canadian study was originally published in the Canadian Journal of Behavioral Health and followed 74 students, 37 homeschooled and 37 in public schools. Findings showed that while public school kids would test at grade levels, homeschooled kids tested far above grade level. In fact, the homeschooled children would perform at least a half a grade ahead in math, 2 grades ahead in reading. The new report states that about 1.7 million students are homeschooled in America, 3.4% only of the school-age population. And of them, 68% are white, 15% are Hispanic, 8% are black, and 4% are Asian or Pacific Islander. When asked why they choose homeschooling, the number one answer parents said was that it was because of their concern about the environment of public schools. Isn't that interesting? 91% of parents said it was due to a lack of concern on public schools' behalf about the environment of their school. So notice that those are 2 different things, really. One being that the parents are concerned about the environment, and the other that the students create in public schools, the teachers don't seem to care, or the leaders don't seem to care. They show a lack of concern over that environment. 77% said it was because of a desire to provide moral instruction for their kids, and 74% of parents said it's because of dissatisfaction with academic instruction. That's interesting. Well, my next guest agrees with this Canadian study and is Canadian and has been home educating her children for more than 20 years. She holds a bachelor's degree in education and a master's in clinical Christian counseling and has taught professionally from pre-K to college. She's a favored keynote speaker at home education conferences in the U.S. and abroad, and a sought-after tutor working with students from public, private, home learning environments, online. She's even mentoring parents who are desiring to educate their children at home. Additionally, she and her husband Brett, an award-winning singer-songwriter, are founders of InseparableLives.com, a ministry devoted to nurturing Christ-centered hearts and minds, strong marriages, families and communities, and the home-educated mind. A Christ-centered consulting and equipping center for home educators dedicated to raising up tomorrow's leaders today. They have graduated their 3 children. 2 are in honors college, and 1 is an honors college graduate. And she has a passion. And it is to see parents become both encouraged and fully equipped to train and guide their children toward the unique individuals they were created to be. She's the author of Yes, You Can Homeschool. Don't you love that title? Listen to the subtitle, The Terrified Parent's Companion to Homeschool Success. But most importantly, she is my favorite friend of more than 30 years. Please welcome to theTHREE, Erin Barry. legalized in all 50 states now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Are we glad about that? I knew some people who homeschooled even about 5 years before I did, and they tell me they would get questions, is it legal?
Oh, yeah.
So I had passed that mark, even having done it 24 years. Well, I have to just say, first of all, how proud I am of you. I mean, you know, our lives, when we met, I guess it was 9 kids ago, or maybe 8 kids ago between us, we knew this was in us.
Yeah.
We talked about things like this. I'm just going to cry right now.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the beautiful things about having friends that last with you through the decades, you know, growing old together, is that you never realize the other ages. We're just aging together. So I think she looks exactly like she did 30 years ago. In fact, we have a little picture that we're going to show the viewing audience of us. Yeah, back in the day, you had a television program. It was actually on CTN, our local affiliate, WHTN in Nashville. And you interviewed me for my first book. So
I did.
So yeah, take a look at this. Was this 1990? I'm trying to think. 92?
Well, it had to be right around 93 because both Georgie and Loren were babies.
We're babies, and right.
And I don't
My book
think
had come out in 92 or 3,
Yeah.
so you're right. That's right. So Erin, that was 25 years ago.
I know.
Yeah, we're still rocking it 25 years later. So, you know, but no, I marvel at the journey that God has had you on. I look back at everything that has happened with, you know, how instrumental you were even in our homeschooling. We started before you did.
Mm-hmm.
Our children were older than yours were. But you were a teacher, I remember, at Davidson Academy. And my second born, Julian, he would just doodle all over the, you know, all over. He was visual. Now, of course, he's in television and film. And he would doodle all over his paper. And you said to me one day, well, just tell him as long as it's in the margins and his work is in the margins and it's neat and his name's at the top. She said, you said you may have a visual artist on your hands. And I didn't even think about that. I wanted it all to be perfect and don't write on, you know, don't draw on your work. But you have always thought outside of the box. So that influenced me greatly as a homeschooler. Now look at you know, him, his career. So what about how did you make that shift from, you were a private school teacher and then you started home educating your children, and now you're sought after really all over the world, and with your new book, has that felt like one seamless journey to you?
Yeah, no, not at all. No. And, you know, it's so funny. So I started always wanting to be a teacher, always loved teaching and education, and so got my degree in that. And headed into, you know, I was a believer in going to school, right? And when I first heard about homeschooling, actually, I kind of thought it was weird, right?
Yeah.
I had these visions of people in the basement,
Exactly.
right? What are they doing in the basement with their kids alone? You know what I mean? And so I wasn't really for it at all. And through a series of events, the Lord just led us to start homeschooling. But I think as I look back, like I said, I started as a teacher and kind of thought, well, maybe I am not passionate about this, but have found I love it, and I love it in every sense of it, right? I love the development of a person.
I know.
And so, yeah, so no, it didn't seem seamless, but it's been interesting to see the steps and how God, you know, really directed. We started homeschooling almost, I always say he tricked me into it.
Jehovah's sneaky, that's what I say.
I was like, well, just through, you know, something happened in her kindergarten year. I was like, well, just homeschool till the end of the year, and then we'll put her back in school.
Right.
You know, and then, well, this kind of went, well, okay, we'll just do one more year.
Right.
You know, and then she graduated in 2010. You know, and that's how it kind of went. But no, but the Lord, just a passion, like I said, for learning. And not just the cognitive, but the entire person. Because like you said with the story with Julian, you know, I've always believed, and still do, that the point of education, the purpose is to help them find out who God has created them to be and to fulfill that place in society. It's not, and there's not just one place. You know, we always, as a culture, we start to sort of, we say, well, this means you're successful. Well, this means you're successful. When in fact, it's about who are you created to be and how do you fulfill that role to further God's kingdom. And I'm sorry I'm going on, but I want to tell you one thing. I was just recently reading about Paul Revere. And I loved it because I'm doing American history right now with a group of students. But it said that Paul Revere was not as intelligent as, say, Jefferson, and he was not as good a rhetorical speaker as Sam Adams. But the thing that Paul Revere had was he had a great ability to connect people. And they said at the time there were 5 groups that men were a part of right before the Revolution, and Paul Revere was in all 5. There were only 2 men that were in all 5, and Paul Revere was one of them. And then the book comments that he had this great ability to bring people together, and by playing his role, he is significant in the founding of our country.
Right.
And so that's the principle, I believe, is who are you created to be?
Yeah.
You don't want to be something else. You want to say, what are the gifts God has given me?
Right.
What's my part? And play it to His glory.
What do you think is the #1 thing that keeps someone from homeschooling?
Fear. Fear.
I was going to say the same thing.
And fear, and really it's, I'm not enough.
Yes.
That's what I hear a lot is, I'm not enough, I can't do all this, I can't carry this. And I always tell them, you're right, you're not. But with God, you are enough. Yeah.
Wow. And then here's another thing I've noticed over our decades is that the demographic of who's homeschooling is different. It used to be, it was a Christian thing.
Right.
And then you went through this period of people were in trouble at school, and it became a last resort thing. So it's really interesting. And do you find that? Do you find in what you're doing? Because you mentioned some people are thinking, she's graduated her children. What is she talking about teaching with children?
Yeah.
So you teach with children as well in groups.
Yeah.
And do you find that? Is it a mixed bag?
Well, yes, absolutely. And it's kind of interesting. I think some of it is that you know, the statistics you mentioned. So people have seen that actually home education really works, and it's getting great results. And so a lot of people also are joining because they want the great results.
Right.
So there's all kinds of reasons. And exactly, bullying is a big thing. Waste of time is a big thing. You know, people are like, you know, their time is wasted. It's not academic. There's so much social agenda. I mean, there's just
and
so
I want
many
to talk about
reasons.
social when we come back. That was the #1 thing I used to get is, are your children going to know how to relate to other people?
Right.
Okay, that myth. We'll tackle that one when we come back. So don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about Erin's new book, Yes, You Can Homeschool. Be right back. Hi everybody, thanks for watching The3. But you know, it dawned on me that I really need to officially introduce myself to many of you, even though I've been in television for 50 years. My parents put me in my first commercial at age 3, and that path carried me all the way to the Shop at Home TV network where I was a host. I'm a wife of 34 years to Chris, a mom to 6 adult children, and a grandmother to 8 so far. I'm an author of, goodness, over 20 books and ebooks, and whatever I write, you can count on the fact that it will help you physically, emotionally, and spiritually because my passion is body, mind, and spirit health. I'm a certified nutritionist with a degree in original medicine. And my husband and I pastor a phenomenal church in Nashville called Eastgate Creative Christian Fellowship, where we help people get healthy body, mind, and spirit. So if you're ever in the Nashville area, I hope you'll stop in and say hi. You know, God had a son, but what He wanted was a family. So He sent Jesus to come and get us. Likewise, I had a TV career, but what I really want is a TV family. As you can tell by now, I have always had one foot in media and one foot in ministry, and it's all collided now on The3. So please become a part of The3's family. Visit the link on your screen to give a tax-deductible gift and help me purchase airtime that takes this fun, relevant, faith-based show to a faithless world. Some TV ministries would then call you a donor or a partner, but I'm going to call you family. Go to the link and become a part of my TV family today. I can't do it without you. Thanks. Hi everybody. You know, I'm very sympathetic to people struggling with chronic sicknesses, especially neurological issues, because as a young girl, I was diagnosed with epilepsy, and I used to have a constant electrical storm in my brain which would cause horrible convulsions. Well, those decades of suffering, combined now with my degree in nutrition and my growing respect for essential oils and the amazing healing properties God put in them on the 3rd day of creation, compelled me to create my very own oil blend called Quiet Brain. Quiet Brain is different than any blend I've ever seen because it's comprised of oils whose special composition is sesquiterpenoids, and they can cross the blood-brain barrier, which not all neurological medicines and not even all essential oils can do. But Quiet Brain's 8 ingredients, frankincense, myrrh, sandalwood, lavender, and more, do. Our case study resulted in testimonies of considerable relief, elimination, at the very least support for PTSD, insomnia, migraines, stress, anxiety, seizures, and more. These aren't medical claims. Everybody's body varies, and so your results will vary. But they are testimonies that cannot be argued with. So go to quietbrainoil.com for our patent-pending oil. It comes in a roller bottle, a dropper bottle, which is great for diffusing, and there you'll also find our nasal inhalers, candles, shampoo and conditioner, and even our gift box with all the products, plus a diffuser. And download the free ebook while there to understand the science behind Quiet Brain. Again, that's quietbrainoil.com. Yes, you can homeschool. It's the title of Erin Barry's new book. And the subtitle just rocks. The Terrified Parent's Companion to Homeschool Success. Had there been a book like this 25 years ago, it took friends and me seeing it done in places and having that light bulb moment, I can do this. I can totally do this. But a lot of people don't have that network. They don't have that circle of influencers. So this is a fantastic resource for you if that describes you and you've got that spark in your mind. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe that's God. Maybe He's saying you need to invest in your children. They're your children.
Yeah.
So what have you got to lose? At least get the book and read it, and then you can contact Erin and she'll convince you if you're not convinced. I'm sure of that. So we talked in the break about public school. Now, I was a product of public school. Were you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So then I loved my public school experience. I mean, every single piece of it. But it's a very different reality now. My last year there, you know, when I graduated a couple of years ago.
Last week.
This was actually in 1983, and my last year they put security, people were bringing knives, and they had to put metal detectors at the door. That was 35 years ago.
Yeah.
So we all know now there are gated bars on bathrooms, kids go in bathrooms and do stuff. There are so many reasons. What's the greatest argument, not to knock public school or even private school, but what's the greatest argument for you taking your children's education into your own hands?
I think, like you said, nobody loves your children like you do. And just the benefits of one-on-one education and being able to look at your child and say, where do they need the help? Where do they not need the help? Where do you slow down? Right? Where do you speed up? You know, rock stars and athletes are all homeschooled, right? And part of it's really the best education in the sense that it's personalized and individualized. So that is really some of the wonderful benefits. And then I always was able to say, okay, you're weak here. We can take more time.
They never fail a subject.
No.
Because you are going to master it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can tell them, you know what? It's taking you a little longer, and that's okay. One of my children struggled the most with their learning. They were the one that, I guess, was a struggling learner. And what I loved was that he knew he struggled, but it wasn't his identity.
Yes,
it was just a part of, okay, I'm weaker in reading, I have a harder time. It made him more compassionate, but it didn't become his identity or his overall focus. He was able to focus on other things in life.
And you were able to tell him what his strengths were and draw those out, whereas when a child has like 6 or 7 teachers all at once, the ones who know their weaknesses don't always have the ability to affirm them in their strengths. And so life isn't all about the child feeling good all of the time. The world's not going to always make you feel good, but those are very formative years. They are very important for one to get their feet underneath of them and to be confident. So yes, I used to get the your children are going to be socially inept, and aren't you concerned? They're not going to know anybody. Well, first of all, we have our own zip code, you know, at our house practically. But one of the things that the argument that I gave was, okay, so have you met my children? They grew up they did a lot of commercials and television, and you're right, we would be able to be flexible. They were hireable. I once asked a director, I asked a casting agent, I said, why do my children get cast so much? And you know what they told me? They said, we know your children are directable. It had nothing to do with talent. I thought they were going to say, wow, your kids, and my kids are wow. But they said your children are directable. And that is because they learned focus. that happens in home education. Don't you agree?
Well, yes, and also home education by nature is cross-age. Right?
Yeah,
So you aren't stuck with just one homogenous group. You deal with adults and people younger than you. So you actually have better skills of interacting like that. And sometimes you lead and sometimes you follow.
Right.
And so, yeah, definitely.
And I had a 16-year age span in mine.
Right,
So
that's beautiful.
if I had to take a trip or travel, I would have to take the baby with me. The baby was nursing. So one of my olders would go with me. It was usually Jessica, my first, and she would go with me. And she got to meet politicians and dignitaries and people in ministry. And anyway, there's not enough good things that can be said. So we've talked about the fear. Let's talk for just a moment, just even about finances. People think that they can't do it. What do you say to that? Because I know that I have homeschooled 6 with there was never any year we started and we were like, wow, we got the big bucks this year. You know, it was always provided for because we were where God wanted us.
Yeah, well, I mean, finances are a concern, but can be a concern. But I remember one year, it was a difficult year for us financially, and I think I spent $10 that year. Seriously, I mean, I used the library.
Yes.
You know, you can learn out of any book. You can, there are just so many options now. Really, it's a different world than when we started. You know, we probably had 3 curriculum to choose from. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Today, you've got so many, you don't even know what to choose.
At your fingertips, even on the web. There was at one point when I actually bought a book, and I don't know that it's in print anymore, but it was something like Homeschool Your Child for Free, and it was a book full of links and sites. So I had one child doing their English at a college in New Zealand. They didn't know about him, but they posted their curriculums online, and so he studied from there. Had another one doing math from a university in Massachusetts, and so these are things that you talk about why they test higher. Because we had to, money-wise, we had to get creative. And so we were pulling from some incredible resources. So.
And you don't have to leave the house. No, you can see in your pajamas. We wear the same thing every day.
Do you know, the bus stop for public schools was in our yard, ironically. In the whole neighborhood. And so all the kids would be out there at 6 a.m. I'd say, kids, look how great your parents are. Look at how great we are taking care of you. But no, I was one of those children, you know. So, well, I can tell you that it's been a joy to watch what God has done in your ministry, and I'm thankful that you're here with us today. Is there any parting words of wisdom that you have for us?
Yeah, I think like we talked, this book, it says, obviously, yes, you can homeschool, and it's for the terrified parent who's beginning to homeschool, but I've had a lot of people read it that public school educate as well, and it's really helpful to look at what is the point of education? What are the questions you should be asking? How can I get the best education where my children are? What little can I do at home even to support what's going on in the public school? So I would say, if you're the least bit curious, order this book.
Order the book.
Check it out, and check us out online as well.
Yes,
and
the website is?
thehomeeducatedmind.com.
Thehomeeducatedmind.com. You can go to Amazon and pick this up. Guess what? You can get it in an audiobook or a Kindle. Kindle. You can have it right now.
You can go to our website.
You don't have to wait. I like not waiting. That's always good. All right, thank you, everybody. Come right back after the break. We're going to have an inspirational close that's going to encourage you with your children. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey, what do you think of when I ask about your health? Probably just your diet, weight, or a sickness. But health involves so much more than just the body. You also have a spirit and a mind that need nourishing, and the Healthy Living Handbook is going to do just that. It contains a top 10 list of healthy living habits for your spirit, where we'll discuss your prayer life, the Holy Spirit, things you may be substituting for God and not even know it. Then Section 2 contains a top 10 list for your mind. I'm going to help you get organized, deal with stress, help you laugh more, and never be discouraged again. There's even a relationship quiz there that helps you make sure the people in your life are the right ones. Then in Section 3, there's a top 10 list for your body. We'll study the 3 biggies, meat, wheat, and sweet, and other things like weight loss, water consumption, and there's even my essential oils list that tells you which oils help the top 50 common household ailments. Go to lauraharrissmith.com and get your copy of the Healthy Living Handbook today.
What if there was a reset button for your body, mind, and spirit? There is!
I wrote the 30-Day Faith Detox so you could cleanse your body, renew your mind, and heal your spirit. There are 30 daily devotionals to confront emotional residues from past trials, what I call faith toxins, prayers to refresh your spirit, and then through yummy strategic foods, each of your 15 body systems are cleansed for a total body detox. People are losing weight and gaining faith. Go to lauraharrissmith.com today to get your copy of the 30-Day Faith Detox. Welcome back, everybody. You know, this is a topic that's really dear to my heart. You know me as a TV host, maybe you know me as an author, but all of my friends who know me best know and have maybe even heard me say that the thing that I'm most proud of in my life, out of all of the things I get to do, is number one, that I make my husband happy. And if you knew him, you would know that it's really easy to make him happy. So I don't mean to make him sound like anything other than just a wonderfully supportive husband, but it is very important to me that I guard my marriage. And so that's number one. Number two is that I invested in my children. That is the thing that I'm most proud of in my life. And when you train up a child in the way they should go, when they're old, they will not depart from it. So I tallied up the hours one time that I would have missed had I not educated my children myself. For each child, it comes up to 40,040 hours of their life that I would have missed. Times 6 children, that's 250,000 hours. So I'm very thankful that I made the decision to home educate my children. So some of you are watching, maybe you don't have small children at home anymore. Maybe you have, however, a neighbor who does, or a daughter who does, or a son who does. And I can tell you, as someone who has made the investment in all 6 of my children, it is worth it. You will never be sorry for any hour that you have with your child, and you will want everyone back that you missed. So again, if you need any information on this topic, go pick up Erin's book. Yes, you can homeschool. You can get it on Amazon. And of course, you can always, if you have any kind of questions about the topic, you can always contact me at laura@thethree.tv, and I will at least put you in touch with someone who can help you. That's how passionate that I am about this. So love your children, guard your families, and of course the most important thing is join us here next week for another great edition of The Three, where we're always looking out for you and your families, body, mind, and spirit. Take care, everybody.